so nice. And like, I'm not doing it. That's fine. Thank you guys so much for coming out. One more time for Mike and Shane. Everybody make it loud for them. Good Lord. Oh, this is fancy. I like it. There's like a whole, that's like a VIP section over there. Not this, this is lower. That's up high. There's 2 bars. That's so many bars for this many people. That's not good. It's not conducive to comedy. Yeah, drunker. That's what we want. I love it. I've never had this many stools on stage. I guess that's what happens. Like, as you grow in your career, there's just going to be more stools. And towels? I've never had a towel. This is about as useful as that towel they give you in first class. You're like, oh yeah, hot towel, just like I do for myself. This is great. This is so different from any other show I've done in New York City. The first show I did in New York, I put it on in 2019. It was in a basement in Bushwick. Was anyone at that? There you go, one, all right. You're the only one that survived, all right. No one else made it out of that neighborhood, apparently. Yeah, that was the first time I put on a show in New York. I was looking for a venue, and I don't know if you know, it's hard to get a venue in this town. It's a very sought-after city for entertainment. And I always like it when people send me, they're like, please come to my town, and then they'll send you the venue, and you're like, oh, the arena. I'll give that a shot. I'll call up Mr. Square Garden and see what his avails are looking like. But I couldn't get a venue, and then a buddy was like, hey, I have a friend, and she has a basement in Bushwick, and she usually has bands play in her basement. You want to do a comedy show there? And I'm like, all right. I didn't think much of it. And I put up the tickets on like Eventbrite or whatever, and we sold it out at 50 people. That's as many people as you could fit in that basement. And then I showed up, and it didn't cross my mind. I'm like, oh, I'm just in front of an apartment complex. Like, I didn't make that clear in the description of the tickets. Like, people are just going to show up and be like, yeah, we're not doing that. We're not going in there. So what I did was I ordered a bunch of pizza, and I lured people in like a creep in a van. I just held pizza, and I'm like, you're at the right place. Go in there. And that was the first show I put on. And the second one was at the Broadway Comedy Club, where a woman with monkeypox didn't want to pay me. It was a deep story. I don't remember monkeypox. I think she was the one person I met that I'm like, that's pretty. I think that's it. And she was weird about paying me. And then the other show I did was at a gym called Con Body. You guys went to that? Yeah, Con Body. Remember that? That was a gym down in, what was that, Lower East Side? And it's a themed gym, because you know how like people in prison are in great shape, and then people in New York are like, I just want to be ripped like a felon, but I don't want to like do the crime part. You know, I'm trying to still be allowed to vote and stuff like that. So then that's how they themed that gym, and I was like, can we do a comedy show here? And they're like, we can do anything in here. So that was the last show that I put on myself in New York. And then it came to this, and this is amazing, but it also at the same time, no one outside of this building cares. You know what I mean? Like, I took photos with my name, and I was like, hey, this is me. And then people were like, get out of the way. The hell out of there, there's no time to gloat. That's why I like this city. Everyone's down to earth in this city, because anytime you have a moment, you're like, hey, someone's like, I'll kill you right now. If you are get out of my face, you're ruining the sidewalk. Because that's what this town is built on. This town is efficient because there's misery here. There's, like, where people are happy, they float, oh, what's that? But if you're miserable, you keep it moving, all right? When I was outside going, that's my name up there, they're like, you're ruining the flow of traffic by being happy. But I like that. I like it because the city keeps people humble. They almost didn't let me in the venue. After I took my photo, I'm like, hi, I'm the comedian. And they're like, you have to go get your credentials. And I'm like, I'm the guy. And they're like, we don't care. Like, You need to get an envelope with a sticker, and we're still patting you down, and we're going to get in there. All right? But I like it. I like that they patted everyone down. It gets, no, this is going to be fine. But this is a venue where they do, like, metal shows. There's probably people covered in chains. And you don't know how many arrows there are backstage. Because this place is for musicians that are high or drunk. And it's just all arrows back there going this way. Do not touch that doorknob. Touch this doorknob. You want to go this way. And that's so a musician who's high off his head, there's so many people working backstage just to make sure I make it here, which is so different from comedy. Like, musicians get to get away with murder, literally. A lot of times, they've killed people and they're like, oh, you rascal, get in here. Why don't you play that song that is my wife and I's favorite song? But with comedians on the come up, you have to mind your P's. You're rude to a waitress and you will be banned from Atlanta. All right? Like, that's how it is. So then you get to this level. Now I'm like too responsible to perform at a venue where they're like, how many arrows do you need to find the stage? And I'm like, no, I'm sober. And they're like, why? Because I have to talk out loud. I think that might be a lot of it. But it's awesome to be here. We got a hotel right next door, so we don't have to go too far back to Brooklyn, which is good. Yeah, our apartment's empty right now because we're moving back to San Diego. So, yeah, don't be sad. I'll still come back. There's flights. You guys have a lot of airports, a lot of them. I only like the LaGuardia one, but that one's good now. And I like it because no one's telling anybody. Because historically, LaGuardia was the bad one, and then they made it good, and they're like, shut up. Every time I go over there, I'm like, whoa, and they're like, shut up. You tell everyone it's horrible. Every time I go to LaGuardia, they got all the lines. They're like, are you clear? Are you TSA pre-check? Are you Sky Priority? And all the lines are like, they're 5 minutes. They're the same amount of time. Just walk on through. They're happy to see you. And then JFK, you're like, that is... A lot of times that Uber ride is longer than the flight that I took to get in. And they're like, come on in, man. So yeah, we're moving back. We have an empty apartment. We had the movers come in on Monday, and they took all their stuff, and we mistimed it. So now my wife and I have just been living in a flop house. We just have a mattress on the floor. And we're like, this will be fine, won't it? It's not. It is not fine. Have you ever had an argument with an echo? Like, that's when you know you've either just moved to the place or you're leaving and you're like, I shouldn't hear the argument twice. And that's where we're at. I'm happy. I'm happy to be going back to the sunshine, but I'm gonna miss. I like it. I never had a moment in this town where I felt like I fit in, but I liked that. You know? I like where every time I went outside, I'm like, who knows? You know? Who knows? Someone might yell at me, someone might smile, and I think it's for me, it's for someone behind me. There might be an argument over a scarf. So many things. I like that you guys were like, I could see an argument over a scarf. Like, a couple of you laughed, and a lot of you were like, I got an argument over a scarf today. I yelled it wasn't cold enough, and they said, prove it, and then we went after it. I remember one time I forget which train, but like there was a dude who was peeling cucumbers on the train and then putting them on his face. He was doing a full beauty treatment on the train, and the train was full, and only my wife and I were looking at him. My wife and I were the only ones going, oh, look at that. And everyone else was like, smart, dude. My skin's dry this time of year. This guy's getting it good. But yeah, we had movers come in, which is always. This is the first time I've ever had movers. I've always been the mover. I've never done it. And then they come in. I think they should ask you to leave. Because have you ever had movers come and then you were there and then they're just like, yeah, that one too. And then they're huge. They look like they could throw you across the street. And you're like, yeah, that one's fragile. They pick up a lamp, there's glass in that. You should watch out for that. It's just bad. And they were all strong and handsome. And it was like too much. And then you watch your wife watch them. And then she'd look at me and I'm like, are you contrasting and comparing? Like, what are you doing right now? She would come by, do you remember how many of us it took to get that couch up here? And I'm like, don't bring that up right now. They were good guys. Yeah. I always get weird when people come into the house. I never know what to do with myself. Like, we had someone come in, they had to work on the plumbing or something, and they were in the closet, so I'm just standing in the living room, because I don't know what I'm supposed to do with myself, so I'm just standing there. And then a second worker came in that I wasn't expecting, just came in, and I was like, and for no reason, I just picked up an ottoman and moved it 2 feet over. And I'm like, yeah, that's where that belongs. What was that doing over there? That's not where that goes. I'm at work too, just so you know. You know, I had to Google the word ottoman. I didn't know that's what that was called, because I give everything a nickname in my house. I call those the stumps. When my wife and I sit down, I'm like, hey, why don't you bring one of those stumps over so I can put my hooves up? And I didn't want to say that in front of an audience because I didn't want to sound like white trash, so I Googled, I'm like, what are those stumps that I put my hooves on when I watch TV? And they're like, did you mean ottoman? And I'm like, yeah, the dog from Beauty and the Beast. That's exactly what I'm talking about. I never know what to do with myself. Like, we had to hire a guy to hang our TV when we moved here, because you guys have, there's brick walls on the East Coast because you guys have less earthquakes, so you can have brick. I grew up in California where everyone would be dead if there was, all the walls are made of paper. So it's like, oh my God, oh, I'm still alive. I'm pinned down, but I'm not dead. But here it's brick, and I don't have a drill. I got an IKEA drill that's made for fake wood, and so my wife, there's an app called TaskRabbit where you can hire men to come over and do men things. That's what they're there for. So my wife's like, I hired this guy to come over and hang our TV, and I looked, and it was a Russian dude named Igor. And I was like, all right. And she's like, oh, he'll be here in 10 minutes. I'm like, okay. And she's like, are you going to stay? And I'm like, yeah, I was, is it weird if I stay? And she's like, I mean, it's just as long as you're comfortable with it, you can stay. And then I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna stay. And he showed up, and I'm like, I should have left. It was, like, I thought I was comfortable with my masculinity, and I wasn't. I thought I was, should have left. He came in and he just pulled out his big, and he's drilling the wall, and there's like brick flakes flying everywhere. He had a big vein in his forearm. Yeah! And then he looked over and we made eye contact, and I'm like, I'm gonna go wait in the bedroom. That's where I'm gonna go wait. And it's a small apartment. My bedroom's just right there. So he's over there drilling the wall. I'm over here just making baby circles. Just tell me when he's done. Tell me where he pees. I have to pee where he pees. Otherwise, this is his apartment now. There's weird rental laws in New York. I don't know if you guys know it. They're like, no, that's his urine. Are you falling asleep? Are you okay right there? Are you very high? Oh, yes? Oh, of course. I love your answer. That was a very New York answer. You're like, of course. Like, what do you... You responded like I asked if it was Friday. You're like, of course it's Friday. Where have you been? You came to a comedy show prepared. I like that. Some of these jokes you'll get on a delay. Absolutely. Yeah. I've always had a good time here. I have a neighbor named Bob. He's an elderly man named Bob, and he and I just have never we never disagree. We've never had an issue, but you ever just not do it right with a person? Like, every interaction, you're like, what the hell was that? I don't know why, but like, my volume of my voice is always off with this guy. Every time I see him, like, my energy's up here and he's like down here. I'll just be like, hey, Bob! And he's like, and I'm like, try again tomorrow. Like, one time I saw him down the street. You ever see your neighbor but not at your place? Like, you see him somewhere else and you're like, hey, look at us, we're at the same thing. And and I did that. I'm like, Bob! And he's like, and I'm like, man! And it's just been a year and a half of that replaying in different ways. Ah! Man, like, ah, and I'm like, idiot. Yeah. I gotta come in smoother. But yeah, it's been a fun couple. Last week, it's been fun. We had the election. I feel it, Some people are happy. I try to remember that. A lot of people are happy. That makes me feel better. You ever see someone happy and then you're happy just because they're happy? Not so much in this city, but when you leave and then you're somewhere else and you're like, that guy's so happy right now. I'm proud. Just watching the video of people lining up to vote made me oh, look at those people. They're lining up to have their voices be heard. That's so nice. I'm just proud of people now. I feel that. Sometimes I'll be at the park and I'll see people running and I'm like, oh, I'm proud of that guy. And my wife's like, do you know that guy? I'm like, no, but he's running. And we're not running, but he's doing it. He doesn't want to run either. We don't want to run and we didn't. He didn't want to run and did. I'm proud of him. Yeah, I'm glad it wasn't close, the election. I'm happy. And it didn't come out the way I wanted, but I'm glad it was, because if it was close, I would have been like, oh, who didn't vote? But because it was a blowout, I'm like, oh okay. All right. Fine. Recount? We don't need to. I think you did it. It felt like a football game where your team, you're like, yeah, this is it. But then the opening kickoff, you can just feel it. You're like, this isn't going good. I remember at the beginning, they just showed 3 states, and I'm like, that's already a rough first quarter right there. We have New Hampshire. I'm like, is that good? It's 2 people in that state. It was rough. It was just the reveal of it. It was like a temperature check of the country, I think, is what that election was. And I was like, oh, it's going to go like this. And I'm like, oh, I was wrong. I had no idea everyone felt that way. The election reminded me of my first boy-girl party. I went to my first boy-girl party when I was 12. It was Melissa Vasquez's birthday. It was her 12th birthday party. And a couple days before her party, I was on a 3-way phone call with her. Remember 3-way phone calls in the 90s? And I was on a phone call with her and my friend Johnny C. And she was like, hey, Johnny C., for my party, can you bring over your Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre CDs? And he's like, absolutely, I'll bring them. And then I was like, oh, I'll bring over my Will Smith's Greatest Hits CD. And there was a long pause and there's 2 other people on the line with me, and nothing. And I was like, well, I'll bring over my Will Smith's Greatest Hits. I repeated myself. I'm like, clearly they didn't hear me. And then there was another long pause, and Melissa's like, you don't have to do that. And I was like, oh, okay. And I'm like, that's what the election was like for me. That was me going, oh, I didn't know. I'll put this away then. That was a lot of my childhood because I didn't have an older sibling. People that are so lucky, if you have an older sibling, they'll be like, don't wear that. You shouldn't wear that. That's your first day of high school? I wouldn't do that. I didn't have that. I would just find out that the thing I picked wasn't cool by showing up. You ever have that? You get a summer vacation, you're like, those green jeans? Hell yeah, dude. I'm wearing some green jeans. And then you show up first day at school, you're like, oh no. And you're like, Mom, I picked the wrong color jeans. And she's like, we're not going back to the store. So you have to be the green jeans kid all of 6th grade.